What's going on, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Kicking It with Crowder. We'll get started here in just a second. Just going to grab my water bottle and we'll get started, all right? What's up, guys? Okay. All right. So I just want to make sure you guys can hear me. So if you're joining on the live, just let me know that you can hear me. I have a microphone hooked up to my phone. This microphone hooked up to my computer. So, guys, welcome in. This is episode 97 of Kicking It with Crowder. What's up, Dave? Just want to know if you can hear me, man. If you can hear me, just please let me know down below. Just comment that you can hear me. Just want to make sure my microphone and everything's working. This is episode 97 of Kicking It with Crowder, and this is brought to you by Greer Home Solutions. So thank you so much to Greer Home Solutions as one of our sponsors, and they bring us our show tonight. Episode 97, all college football. Kind of the 2-year anniversary of when we first started this show. So just want to dive into all that tonight, guys. I'm going to give you my top 25. I'm also going to give you my conference picks. I'm going to give you my Heisman Trophy pick, top 5 quarterbacks, top 5 non-quarterbacks. I'll also have my playoff predictions as well. And we're just going to get on straight into it, man. College football is back this Thursday, and then also some big games this Saturday as well. So just want to take some time to thank my sponsors as well, Greer Home Solutions, who is bringing you the show tonight, as well as F&M Cigars, Ivy Park Sports Bar and Grill, and Crazy Daisy. So thank you. So much love and appreciation for all these people who are sponsoring a local sports podcast. So I just want to say thank you very much. Don't forget, guys, you can always find me on Apple. I'm on Spotify. I'm on the iHeartRadio app. I'm also on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. If you haven't already, guys, please like my Facebook page. We're over 1,000 followers on there, and we just want to keep building that up. And you'll see that next Thursday we will be live at Ivy Sports Park Bar and Grill. So be sure to come out, check it out. We're going to be doing a modified show. It's not going to be exactly like this. I'll be giving updates from what happened on my sports bet picks, see how those went and everything, and then we'll do trivia afterwards, guys. So I'm just really excited for that opportunity next Thursday, the 9th and the 16th at Ivy Sports Park Bar and Grill. You don't want to miss it out. So with that being said, guys, I just want to dive straight into my college football. I went ahead and made my top 25. So I'm going to take a little bit of time right here to talk about the top 10 teams in college football, and then we'll talk 11 through 25 as well. And the number one team right now, and it's hard to put a team over them right now, even though they did lose a bunch of starters, and that is Alabama and Nick Saban. What he's able to do last year was remarkable, and they do not, they just reload. They do not rebuild. At Alabama, they have, a former number one overall player in the, him and Brian Breesy were right there, 1 and 2, coming out in 2020. But Bryce Young is just a phenomenal athlete. He's going to bring a dynamic to the Alabama playbook that, is going to resemble more of what kind of Tua did a few years ago. And Bryce Young is going to get after it, and he's going to go out there and have a great season. He's got a bunch of wide receivers to throw to, a couple returning wide receivers, as well as 3 incoming freshmen who all look to contribute early on. A boatload of running backs, Evan Neal on the offensive line. He's a first round pick. They just added 2 top 5 tackles in the 2021 class as well. They may play this year. If not, they may redshirt and then play next year. The offense is very talented, but this defense is going to take strides this year that, they gave up some points last year, Alabama. Their defense wasn't as strong as it's been in years past, but they have 8 returning starters on that defense, and Will Anderson is a dynamic player. He's coming back as a sophomore, and then they add guys like Kool-Aid McKinstry to the signing class, and they just have guys all over the place. This Alabama team is loaded. They're my number 1 team, followed by Oklahoma. Spencer Rattler, their head coach. They're able. Spencer Rattler, lost his first few games last year, and then Lincoln Riley, really got that thing rolling. Oklahoma was as hot as anyone at the end of the season last year, really thumped Florida in their bowl game. And if their defense can improve, this Oklahoma team is going to be very, very good in 2021. My number 3 team is Clemson. Yes, they do lose Trevor Lawrence, but they have some weapons coming back like E.J. Williams and Justin Ross at the wide receiver position. They bring in a running back, Will Shipley, to complement their senior running back from over here in Taylor County. And then they have the quarterback, DJ Uiagalelei, okay? His name I'm gonna struggle in, but I'm gonna try to pronounce it right. The guy can ball 6'5", 240, every bit of it. The big Ocho is what they call him. Ocho, Big Cinco, I'm sorry. And he is just unreal athlete. When I watched him play last year, it was like watching Cam Newton and like Matt Stafford. If they had like a baby or something like that, they're mixed together. That is what DJ brings you. I mean, the guy is insane out there. He's going to be one of my top Heisman Trophy guys to look out for this year. He's that good of a football player. And what he's going to bring to this Clemson team is going to be very dynamic. And then Will Shipley, he's as good as it gets at the running back position for a freshman. And then they have a guy like Justin Ross who missed last year with a neck injury. He's coming back trying to get that draft stock back up. He's going to have a tremendous season. Look for him to have 1,000 yards, 12, 13 touchdowns. I really think they can do that together this year. And then they bring in, then their defense is just loaded. 4 or 5 stars all over the defense. I think Brian Breesy will be an All-American this year in his sophomore year. Looked good as a freshman. And then they have a bunch of defensive ends that, Xavier Henry, and they have a couple other guys on the defensive side of the ball who are going to be playmakers. And then also Andrew Booth, the corner for Clemson, is a very good player as well. But you get to see how good Clemson is first week of the season against my next team, number 4 UGA, and that UGA Clemson matchup. I mean, it makes so much sense for them to play. If they don't play every year, they should at least play like every 4 years, every 3 years. I mean, it's right there. They're 45 minutes, maybe an hour away from each other, the campuses. UGA, JT Daniels, it's all about him, how far he can take this UGA team. They have guys like James Cook and Zamir White out of the backfield. Then they're going to have wide receivers. If George Pickens can come back at some point this year, that would be great for them in November, December, to give that SEC push, that playoff push. But Jermaine Burton, a guy who made a lot of plays last year in the second half of the season, he's back. And then you have the wide receiver who broke his ankle against Florida last year, Ramsey. He'll be coming back. And then they also have Blaylock, he'll be coming back as well. So they have some dinged up guys, but if they can all come back and get at full strength at some point in the season, the wide receiver core can really come together and make some plays. Offensive line, they have 2-3 starters coming back from last year and a bunch of young talent who can step in there and play right away. So the offense is going to be very, very good. And then the defense, that's really the question mark for me. Can they replace the 6 guys they lost to the NFL draft or graduation last year in the secondary? You look at a guy like Tyke Smith who injured his foot. He will be back for Georgia this year, third-team All-American at West Virginia. And then you have a guy like Keely Ringo, a corner who didn't really play much last year as a freshman. He was a top 10 player in the 24/7 composite rankings. Look for him to have a big season. And then you also have Darren Kendrick, the transfer from Clemson. It's just going to be an excellent matchup, this UGA versus Clemson matchup. I really am looking forward to it. We'll see what happens, but you can still lose that game and still accomplish your goals later in the season. So it's not. You just have to keep it close. You can't get blown out in the ball game. And then rounding out my top 10 guys, I got Ohio State. Yes, they have to replace Justin Fields, but Ryan Day has done a tremendous job recruiting. He has 3 or 4 really good quarterbacks to replace Justin Fields. They have the 2 receivers, Garrett Wilson and Olave, so look for Ohio State to be very good as well. And then you have, coming in at number 6, Iowa State, led by Purdy and then Hall, the quarterback running back duo. Campbell there has done a tremendous job as the head coach. Number 7, Texas A&M, Jimbo Fisher, 9-1 last year. What can I say? He's just going to keep getting that program better and better. And can they, break through and beat Alabama? We'll see. Number 8, Oregon. Oregon, I think, is the best team in the Pac-12, and we'll see. We'll see their early on tests this year against Ohio State. That's going to be a heck of a matchup. Number 9, Cincinnati. Desmond Ridder, great athlete. They played Georgia really good. They have some really good cornerbacks as well for Cincinnati, so this defense is very good. They may be the best team outside the Power 5 as well. And then North Carolina comes in at number 10. Mac Brown has done a really good job in his first few years back at North Carolina. Sam Howell's thrown like 80 touchdowns in his 2 years, 70, 80 touchdowns. Look for him to have a huge season. He's going to have a big season if they want to, accomplish what they want to. Look for North Carolina to get to Charlotte in the ACC championship game. I like them to go play Clemson in a tough game in the ACC. So we'll see what happens there. That's my top 10, guys. Some interesting storylines there. But I want to talk about my 11 through 25 real quick. And I do have a couple teams. I have 3 or 4 teams who were not in the initial AP top 25, but I did put in mind. So I want to talk a little bit about 11 through 17 right now. And Notre Dame, they're going to have to replace Ian Book. They have the former Wisconsin quarterback, I think Jake Crone will take over, so we'll see what happens. They have a really good running back. They also have a tremendous safety in Kyle Hamilton, but we'll see. It's all about the quarterback position. They open up with the FSU, so that is going to be a really good test early in the season. Number 12, Wisconsin. This is just a team who, they're going to be able to run the football. Their quarterback last year got a lot of valuable experience as a freshman last year. He's back, year older, has some weapons to throw to. The defense is much improved. So Wisconsin, and they're going to have to show it early on too. They play Penn State first game of the season. And then number 13, USC, led by Keaton Slovis, the quarterback. Clay Helton is, really doing good on the recruiting in this year for the 2022 class. But USC and Oregon, it's all about those two teams in the Pac-12. Who can win that matchup and then who can win the Pac-12? We'll see what happens. It's going to come down to USC or Oregon to me. Number 14, Miami, Derek King. They also have a really good wide receiver, a really good safety. Miami is improving. They're better than they were a few years ago. Derek King, this knee injury, can they go out there and just compete with Alabama? Because they have a relatively easy schedule. If they play Alabama close and then, win out, and then win the ACC, they're going to have some buzz to maybe get in the playoff, but we'll see what happens. Number 15, Florida. Yes, they lose Kyle Trask. Yes, they lose Kyle Pitts. And Kyle Pitts is the bigger loss for me. They just don't make guys like Kyle Pitts. They don't make these unicorns. Yes, a couple guys. It's going to take a couple guys to replace Kyle Pitts. He's that good of a player. But they do have Emory Jones at the quarterback position. He's a fourth-year guy, so he's going to have 1 to 2 years to show everyone that he was a really big high recruit coming out of high school. We'll see if he can live up to that. Number 16, Iowa. Iowa is just every year Kirk Ferentz has a team that goes out there and competes, and it just gives people close games in the Big Ten all the time. They may not win all their games, but they end up putting giving teams really, really hard games. I like this Iowa team, and they open up with Indiana, who I also like. They come in here at number 18, but my number 17 team in between Indiana and Iowa is LSU. Yes, this LSU team doesn't have Miles Brennan. They'll start Max Johnson at quarterback, Brad Johnson's son, the former Tampa Bay winning quarterback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Max Johnson is the quarterback, and I think he's a better fit for that offense. Does have a really good receiver who was a freshman last year coming back this year. They got John Emery, the running back, mixed in with another guy. They got a little two-back system. Their defense has to be improved. Derek Stingley, can he show what he did his freshman year when he led LSU to a national championship? That's what's the key to me. LSU's defense, Ed Orgeron, can he get this defense back to playing good football? Indiana was 6-1 last year in the shortened season, 7-0 against the spread. Their Coach Allen, everyone wants to play for the guy. Like the players just rave about him. He just connects with the players, even though he's an older gentleman. But this is a team to me to watch. They're +3 against Iowa early in the season, but I like Indiana in that matchup. That may not be one of my top 10 picks, but I do like Indiana. My number 19 team, this is a team that was not in the initial AP Top 25. This is a team for me that is doing some great things. They have a great quarterback in the SEC, Matt Corral, Lane Kiffin. I'm telling you, I think this Ole Miss team can go 9-3, 8-4. I really, really do. They have to stop people on defense, but they're going to score a lot of points. They're going to get better recruits with what Lane Kiffin is able to bring to this Ole Miss team. I really like this Ole Miss team to finish inside the top 25 this year. Make some noise, give some people some heart attacks, give some defensive coordinators, some sleepless nights. I think Ole Miss is going to finish inside the top 20, and I have Ole Miss starting the season as my number 19 team. All right, number 20, Coastal Carolina. This is a team who, had the great season last year. I think they're going to have a tremendous season this year as well in the Sun Belt. Can they go undefeated? I'm not sure. I like 11-1, 10-2, but this Coastal Carolina team will be one of the best teams outside the Power 5 yet again. All right, so we go to Penn State, guys. So this Penn State team right here is they play Auburn this year. They're gonna be playing Auburn. They also play in a really good Big Ten, and they're gonna have to play Ohio State, I believe. I don't know how the Big 12 schedule works out. I don't know exactly Penn State's schedule, but I know that Penn State's going to be better than they were last year. They lost their first 5. I think they won their last 4 games. The quarterback finally got some consistency later on in the season. So, Penn State, Auburn, that's going to be a huge matchup in a couple weeks. Can Auburn go in there and beat Penn State? I think it's going to be a whiteout game, so that will be something to watch. I have Auburn also in the top 25, but my next team is Liberty, who has a quarterback who played at Auburn. It's just everything all comes full circle. Liberty, Malik Willis, this is a guy who's going to be a first-round pick. I truly believe it. I watch him on his tape. He's a tremendous athlete. And, Auburn would love to have him back right now. Bo Nix did beat out Malik Willis. Malik Willis transfers to Liberty, and the rest is history. So, can Hugh Freeze have this Liberty team in the top 15 at season's end? And another thing is Liberty goes to the Grove and they go play Ole Miss, which is going to be like a homecoming for him. So that's a pretty exciting game. Auburn comes in as my number 23 team. Tank Bigsby is the real reason why for me. He's the best running back in the nation. I truly believe that. Bo Nix has to be better than he was in 2020. I don't think that's a question. I think it's going to be very easy. If he just goes out there and plays, consistent football, he'll be better than he was in 2020. And then this defense has a couple veterans, Owen Papao and Smoke Monday, as well as Walker on that defense, man. They're going to be really good on defense. Auburn, can you go 9-3? That's kind of the ceiling for me. They're going to have some tough games: LSU, Alabama, Georgia. So can you go 8-4, 9-3 in Brian Harsin's first year and really get momentum on the recruiting trail? Number 24 comes Louisiana. They play Texas first week of the season, and their coach Price is a hot commodity. Probably going to get a top high profile job in the next few years. And then Boston College, guys. Boston College. They're my number 25 team. They're not in a lot of people's top 25, but I really like their quarterback a lot. Yurkowitz, he is a tremendous quarterback. I think he's going to be a top, 30 pick in the NFL draft, top first round pick. And then Jeff Hafley, their coach. If you can go 9-3 in the ACC and be that third or fourth team in the ACC and give Clemson good games and North Carolina and FSU, I think that's great for Boston College. Boston College. Can be a very good team this year. I really think that. They have a really good wide receiver to go along with their quarterback. So look out for Boston College. And you heard it here first at Kick It with Crowder, guys. So I want to move on to my top 5 games real quick. So I got top 5 games, top 5 quarterbacks, top 5 non-quarterbacks, my conference champs, Heisman, playoff. I got all of it tonight, guys. We're going to get through it real quick. We're going to go pretty quickly through it, guys, so give me just 1 second, okay? Hey, Taylor. Can you make sure you hear me on the phone? Did you ever pull it up? Alright, guys, sorry about that. Alright, I just want to make sure my mic is working. Give me 1 second. Can you hear me, Taylor? Alright, well. Alright, guys, so my top 5 games for this season. Alright, so they're sound. So I just wanted to make sure. So we've already went through my top 25 games, or my top 25 teams, guys. Now I want to talk about my top 5 games in 2021. And the very first game, we're not going to have to wait very long. Opening weekend, Clemson, UGA, top 5 matchup. And UGA is a 3.5, depending on where you get it from. They're an underdog in this game. And I just think it's because, just what Clemson has been the last 7 years. And they have the stud quarterback as well. So, and you just have so many, injuries with this UGA team as well. I think if it was no injuries, I think this is pretty even game. I like the Bulldogs in this game. I like JT Daniels versus Clemson defense. I think that the UGA defense is going to give DJ Ugalele a little bit of trouble, in this game. Now, I'm not saying they're going to shut him down. I think he's going to get his. Don't get me wrong. But at the end of the day, I think UGA just outlast Clemson with just how much talent they have on this roster. This is they have 4 or 5 stars all over the place, and I just think at the end of the day, in the fourth quarter, when the game is close and it gets tough, I just think that Georgia's going to find a way to pull through 31-27, something like that. I just like UGA in this ball game in Charlotte, North Carolina. So that's my number 1 game of the season. My number 2 game, Oregon versus Ohio State in Columbus, Ohio. Could have major playoff implications. The Pac-12 hasn't really had a playoff team in at least the last few years. Ohio State trying to get back in the playoff after losing last year to Alabama. They won in 14. So at the end of the day, this is going to be a huge matchup. And can Oregon go into Ohio State and get a victory? It's going to be very tough. Can they do it? Next, Cincinnati versus Notre Dame. Not only is this a huge game because of two really good football teams, but Notre Dame's defensive coordinator coached at Cincinnati last year, so this is going to be a huge game for the Cincinnati defense to go out there and show up their former coach. I think it's going to be a tremendous game, and Cincinnati may get out of South Bend with a victory. My number 4 game, guys, Washington goes to the Big House in Michigan. That's another Pac-12, Big Ten type game. Not sure Washington has the firepower to go undefeated in the Pac-12, but can the Pac-12 go into a hostile environment in Michigan and win? If they do, Jim Harbaugh's job may be on the line. He's going to be under tremendous pressure this season. Number 5, guys, Auburn, Penn State. I talked about it a little bit earlier. In Happy Valley, I think it's going to be a whiteout. Can Bo Nix and this offense with Tank Bigsby and this veteran offensive line, can they go in there and score enough points to beat this Penn State Nittany Lions team? It's going to be a ruckus crowd, insane crowd. I truly believe that. But at the end of the day, I think Auburn has just as much talent as a Penn State team does. I want to see how the first week or two plays out, and then we'll discuss this game on the show a lot. But those are my top 5 games, guys, for the 2021 season. Next, I want to move on to my top 5 quarterbacks. And before we do, guys, I just want to give another shout out to my sponsors, guys. Greer Home Solutions is bringing you this episode tonight, as well as F&M Cigars, Crazy Daisy, and it's a flower company. If you need weddings or flower for your girl, that is that company. And then also Ivy Park Sports Bar and Grill, where I will be doing a live show next Thursday, guys. So just want to give that a little shout out before we move on to our top 5 quarterbacks. And my top 5 quarterbacks, I'll start with my number 5 guy. This is a guy who I had in my top 25, Ole Miss quarterback Matt Corral. He had a huge season last year for this Ole Miss team. Another year in the system with Lane Kiffin. He can show these NFL scouts that he's a Drew Lock type player to me. That's who he reminds me of as a pro comp. But Matt Corral is going to put up numbers this year for Ole Miss, but can it translate to wins? We'll see. My number 4 quarterback, guys, JT Daniels, this UGA signal caller, came in the last 4 games. The UGA averaged 37 points a game. They have that shootout versus Cincinnati. Really liked what I saw out of JT Daniels last year. Can he be the guy that pushes UGA over the top and gets them that national championship? Malik Willis, my number 3 quarterback, the former Auburn transfer, played his high school ball at Roswell, got Roswell to a state championship. Malik Willis, just a super freak athlete. Really like the way he plays the position. He would look really good in an Atlanta Falcons uniform. Really rooting for Malik Willis this year and Liberty to have a big season. My number 2 quarterback, and a lot of people have him as the number 1 quarterback, but I'm going Spencer Rattler. Like I said, he lost his first 2 games last year, I think, to Kansas State and Iowa State, and then he really got it going, won 8 or 9 in a row, absolutely obliterated Florida, and he's going to have a big-time season, just put up video game type numbers. He will be in contention for the Heisman Trophy as well. I have him and another guy as just the 2 co-favorites. And then my number 1 quarterback, just based off of what he's done in his career, based off of what he's going to do this year, Sam Howell is a very, very talented quarterback. He went out in high school and went to all the camps, went to the Elite 11, was an FSU commit, then decommitted, went to UNC, and all he's done at UNC is win ball games and throw touchdowns. He's a very confident guy, and I think he believes in himself, and he could very, very well be the number 1 pick in the NFL draft. Really reminds me of a Baker Mayfield type player, and North Carolina is just going to have to find some guys this year that there's going to have to find some guys. They lost a lot of talent in the NFL, but if they can just replace those guys and just compete, they'll be just fine. Look for North Carolina 10-win season, could really happen this year in Chapel Hill. So those are my top 5 quarterbacks. These are my top 5 non-quarterbacks, guys, and these are guys who, may not get as much love as the quarterbacks on the team, but I'm here to tell you these guys can play football. Here's my number 5 non-quarterback, and this is a guy I talked about earlier. Tank Bigsby. What's up, Eddie? Thanks for watching, man. I really appreciate you. We're going to talk a little bit about Clemson UGA, so stick around for that. Hal does have a bad environment going into Blacksburg tomorrow night, but I think that Sam Howell and this North Carolina team can go in there and get a victory and cover the spread. I really do. Look for North Carolina to score 35 plus, Eddie, and we'll see what happens, man. But I want to talk a little bit about Tank Bigsby. Well, just a durable guy who can not only run between the tackles, but he can catch it out of the backfield. Reminds me a lot of Todd Gurley when he was at UGA. And Tank Bigsby, there's a reason they call him Tank, and it's for a good reason. The guy will straight run you over, and he's good at pass protection. Can also catch the ball out of the backfield. Brian Harson's gonna know what to do with him in different situations, but I really like Tank Bigsby as my number 5 non-quarterback. Another guy who's just all over the field. You watched him last year in the playoff. You watched him against Clemson last year. Kyle Hamilton, and this is a guy who got ejected in one of the games last year, and when he got ejected, I think it was against Notre Dame, they just weren't the same, or it was in the playoff, whenever it was, they just weren't the same when Hamilton got thrown out of the game, and he's going to be a top 15, top 10 pick. He's just what NFL scouts are looking for in a safety, a rangy guy who can come up and hit you as well, and I really like what I saw out of Kyle Hamilton, and that's why he's my number 4 non-quarterback. Another guy, actually my number 3, guys, this is 2 guys because Ohio State has literally 1A, 1B. I can't really pick between them. Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson. I think Olave's more of a kind of push the top over the defense with his speed. Wilson's more of a can run everything in the route tree. Big physical guy, can catch, goes and catches the football. So both of these guys are very, very good players. Olave caught 12 touchdowns 2 years ago, 7 last year. Wilson had 6 touchdowns last year. So look for these guys to really break out with C.J. Stroud throwing them the football at Ohio State this year. I couldn't pick between them, so I picked both of them right there at number 3. Number 2 pick, guys, my number 2 non-quarterback, and that's Kevin Thibodeau. Actually, it's not Kevin Thibodeau. It's like, I'm sorry. His first name's like Kieran Thibodeau or something like that, but he is a defensive end from Oregon, going to be a top 3 pick in the NFL. The guy is that good. Jadeveon Clowney-like freak when he was at South Carolina. You put him out there, he can play the wide 9 technique. He could probably come inside, play a little 4 technique. I mean, the guy can play anywhere from the 4 to the 9. 7 technique, can just absolutely get through with his bull rush on these offensive tackles, can also use his speed and strength to really get in there and disrupt the quarterback. You really like what you see out of him in Oregon this year. So Kayvon Thibodeau is my number 2 overall player, and my number 1 overall player non-quarterback is a guy who, if they play him on offense this year at LSU, this is a guy who could garner Heisman Trophy, accolades. What's up, Lance? Thanks for watching, man. And this next guy I'm talking about is Derek Stingley, the tremendous junior quarterback from LSU. I really like what he brings to the table. Just a shutdown corner, yes. Devontae Smith did get the best of him last year, but Devontae Smith got the best out of everyone last year. Look at his freshman tape. Derek Stingley was the best corner in the nation. I think it's going to show this year as well. And look for him, if he does play wide receiver and gets, 200, 300, 400 yards receiving, has a couple of touchdowns, and then goes out there and shuts people down at corner. You're looking at a guy who could win the Jim Thorpe Award or possibly a Heisman Trophy. That's how good Derek Stingley is. Would love for the Atlanta Falcons to maybe get their hands on him in the 2022 NFL Draft. So, those are my top 5 non-quarterbacks, guys. Tank Bigsby, number 5. Kyle Hamilton, number 4. Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson, number 3. number 2, Kayvon Thibodeau, and number 1, Derek Stingley. All right, guys, so if you missed it, Lance, also I had my top 5 quarterbacks. I had Matt Corral, number 5, JT Daniels, number 4, Malik Willis, number 3, Spencer Rattler, 2, Sam Howell, 1. So, I want to pick my conference champions right now, guys. So, we have conference champions to talk about, Heisman, playoff, and then my bets for the weekend. Woo! Man, it's going by really fast, and I enjoy doing this, man. So, I think, what time is it, Lance? I just want to know what time it is real quick. I think it's like, 6:50 something? Alright. So, guys, we want to talk about my conference champs right now, and we'll discuss, I'll pick the, the Power 5 teams next week, but I want to focus on my conference champions right now, guys. So, my conference champions, I'll start with the SEC, and, this is a team for me. I just think that this Georgia team is just, all their talent is finally going to come together this year. All the transfers are going to come together. And UGA is just going to go out there and they are going to, they're going to get it done this year in the SEC. I really think they do. I think they're just too good. I think Alabama is also going to go undefeated and get to the SEC championship as well. And I just think you're going to have an all-time classic with UGA and Alabama, and UGA is finally able to get over the top. I just feel like with Alabama losing so much talent this year, and Bryce Young and these young guys, they're going to have, I just think that if this is the time for UGA, this is going to be it. Or if they can't get it done this year, I really just don't know if UGA can get it done with Kirby Smart. I really don't. I just think with all the talent he's accumulated, going into these parents' homes and getting these players and trusting that they will win the national championship. If they can't get it done, if they can't go out there and beat Clemson this year, and they can't go out there and beat Alabama and these teams when they have by far the best talent and the best roster in the country, I just think it's going to start souring there at UGA. So UGA is my pick this year to win the SEC. I have them beating Alabama in the SEC championship, but I have Alabama still getting in the playoff. Because, hey, they go 12-0, they lose a close game to Georgia, they're going to put them in. So, I'm telling you, I got UGA winning the SEC, and I got Alabama losing a close game to UGA and still getting in the playoffs. So, that just goes to tell you right now, I got UGA and I got Alabama both in the playoff, just based off SEC prediction right there. All right, in the ACC, I really think it comes down to North Carolina and Clemson. And this Clemson team, they're going to be pushed by North Carolina. I just think that losing so much offensive talent on this North Carolina offense, if those guys would have came back this year, man, I really would have picked North Carolina to win the ACC. But with DJ Uiagalelei at quarterback, he is just such a freak athlete. Justin Ross coming back at receiver, like I said, and then Will Shipley added in at running back. Then they have the great defense. I think the defense is what sets them apart, and Clemson is able to recover from an opening, the opening game loss to UGA, and they're able to recover and win the ACC and get into the college football playoff as well. So I have Clemson getting in to the playoff as well and winning the ACC championship. Yes, no George Pickens. I alluded to that earlier. No Eric Gilbert. Darnell Washington banged up. Tyke Smith is out. Man, they got a lot of injuries. The wide receiver who hurt his ankle last year against Florida, he looked like he's coming back. Blaylock looks like he may be back. They got 4 running backs who can carry the ball. JT Daniels looks to be healthy. 3 or 4 offensive linemen that have played. So, yes, they are banged up a little bit, but I think that if they can't, they got to go out there and beat Clemson this year, man. They got to go out there and beat them this year. My Big Ten pick, it's hard for me to pick against Ohio State. I will say I have Ohio State winning the Big Ten, but I have them winning at 11-1 and not 12-0. And since that's happened, they lose later on in the season. I have Ohio State finishing as the number 5 team, first team out, and not making the college football playoff. I really like Ohio State. I think C.J. Stroud's going to struggle in one game. Now, I don't know what that game is, but I do see them losing a game this year, going 11-1, and just missing the playoff barely just because there's so much talent and not much separation at the top. But see, I think, Eddie, here's the thing. If you lose a close game to Georgia, Georgia goes 12-0, wins the SEC, I think Clemson can still get in. That's what I'm basing, putting Clemson in. I think they lose to Georgia in a close game, 31-27, that's how I've had it, 34-20, 34-31, something of that nature, Eddie. And then they're able to run the table in the ACC, and since they lost a close game to Georgia, I still think they can get in. That's just how I have it going. I got Oregon winning the Pac-12, but also losing to Ohio State and losing a Pac-12 game. So I have them going 7-1 in the Pac-12, but I got them 10-2 in the season. So I got Oregon out of the playoff as well. See, so everything I picked, I broke this down for days and days and really thought about this, guys. In my Big 12 team, here's the thing. Iowa State has 20 starters back. 20, okay? Iowa State has given Oklahoma tons of trouble. I think Oklahoma beats Iowa State in the regular season, goes 12-0. But I have Iowa State rebounding from that loss to Oklahoma and beating them in the Dr. Pepper Big 12 championship. And Oklahoma does not get a Big 12 championship in presumably one of their last years in the Big 12. Iowa State sneaks in, and I'm telling you, Iowa State sneaks in, beats Oklahoma, and Iowa State sneaks in as the number 4 overall team in the college football playoff. And Iowa State and Brock Purdy and Breece Hall and Mac Campbell and those guys, the 20 returning starters, get it done and revenge losing to Oklahoma in the Big 12 championship last year and revenge losing to them in the regular season this year. I got Iowa State at 11-1 and then winning the Big 12 championship and coming in as my number 4 overall team, guys. So I'll just go ahead and talk about the playoff real quick. I just kind of told you guys how I see it, guys, and I'll put it right here. So I have Georgia, number 1, winning the SEC and going undefeated, beating Alabama. Alabama in as my number 3 overall team. They were 12-0. Alabama 12-0. They lose a close one to UGA. They get in as the number 3 team, get a lot of respect from the voters, and Alabama gets in as the number 3 seed. Clemson, like I said, loses to UGA in the first game of the season, and they run the table, and they get in as the number 2 team, and their only losses to UGA. Bama's only losses to UGA. So UGA, Clemson, and Alabama is the top 3 teams. And then my number 4 team, guys, the Iowa State Hawkeyes. I'm jumping on it. I'm doing it. I could not. I didn't want to just pick the same teams over and over. Oklahoma, Clemson, Ohio State, Alabama, Georgia, blah, blah. I just wanted to change it up a little bit. And I'm rolling with the Iowa State Hawkeyes. I liked them last year. I love them this year. And that is my Kicking It with Crowder playoff prediction. I picked it right last year. I had Alabama winning in the pandemic type season. I just thought Alabama would overcome all the issues last year and win with Nick Saban. They did. And that is my playoff prediction, guys. Yes, Iowa State Cyclones. I'm sorry, I don't know what I said. I was just too hyped for a second. Iowa State. I said Hawkeyes, I think. I said Hawkeyes. Iowa State Cyclones. All right, so UGA, number 1. Number 2, Clemson. Number 3, Alabama. Number 4, Iowa State Cyclones. I will go ahead and give you the picks next week for the national championship, guys, when I'm doing my show live at the Ivy Sports Park Bar and Grill. I'll give you my national championship pick. Hey, even if UGA loses this year to Clemson, I will still have UGA in, so it doesn't matter. We'll see what happens, guys. All right, so I want to talk about my Heisman Trophy favorites real quick before we get out of here, guys. Thank you so much. Remember, this show was brought to you by Greer Home Solutions. If you need any renovations done around the house, you just need a handyman to help you guys out, call Jacob Greer at Greer Home Solutions. He will take great care of you guys, okay? All right, so Heisman Trophy, guys. The Heisman Trophy favorite heading into the season is Spencer Rattler. Spencer Rattler could very well win it, especially if Oklahoma goes 12-0 and wins the Big 12. Bryce Young's name's got to be in there after Devontae Smith has won, and all these guys have won the last 10, 12 years at Alabama. Bryce Young's name has to be in there. And then also, that's really what I look for. Who has a star player who plays for one of these star teams, and we'll see what happens. So we got a Lance versus Eddie in the chat. We got a Clemson and UGA, kind of two guys who really are rooting for their teams this week. That's really fun, man, down below. Also, guys, Breece Hall is my running back to look out for in the Heisman Trophy. Look out for him. And then JT Daniels. So those are my 5 names to watch out for in the Heisman Trophy, players to watch. Spencer Rattler, DJ Uiagalelei, Bryce Young, Breece Hall, and JT Daniels. And I think it's really going to come down to Spencer Rattler versus DJ. I think those are just the 2 best guys to win it this year. And I'm going to go with, since Clemson loses to UGA, but they go undefeated the rest of the way, they get in the ACC. DJ has 50 touchdowns combined, over 35 in the air and 15 on the ground. He runs for over 500 yards, passes for over 3,500 yards. I'm telling you, DJ Uiagalelei is the 2021 Heisman Trophy winner from California, goes to Clemson and gives them their first Heisman Trophy winner. I'm going with it right now, guys. So I couldn't decide. I just decided right now on the air who I like, but one of those 2 guys is going to win, I think. I'll just roll with DJ on that one. I'll roll with Clemson there a little bit closer, and I don't really like Oklahoma. So, guys, thank you so much for joining me tonight. I really appreciate it. If you haven't already, be sure to check out my Kicking It With Crowder page. You can basically find that on Facebook. Just type in Kicking It With Crowder, like my page, keep up with all my stuff. And then also, guys, share this. Like it. Be sure to like it down below. Like it down below. Get this thing out there so more people can see it. And then share it so more people can see it. Thanks, man. I appreciate it, Eddie. I really do. Yeah, man, Lance, check it out, man. I pretty much do it every week on Wednesday or Thursday. This week I did it a little early at 6 because I have to do a fantasy draft tonight. Didn't want to be rushing. So, thanks. I really appreciate you guys watching. I really enjoy the show every week. It means a lot. So thank you guys so much. Before we get out of here, I know we have probably 5 minutes left or so. I want to talk about my bets this week. So last year, of course, as you know, I was 46 and 38 or something like that. 38 and 32. I'm sorry, 38 and 32. And the year before, I was 46 and 39 and 2. So I have an over 500 record. I was 4-1 last week, guys, picking games in week 0. And I want to go ahead and give you 10 games. Most weeks are going to be... all right, and Eddie, guys, for everyone listening, Eddie says grab Trevor Lawrence late in your draft. Can't really argue with him there. Probably be a great late selection, especially if he's putting up numbers down and behind games and stuff like that. So I could see Trevor Lawrence having a good season. So Alabama, guys, I want to talk a little bit about them. They are 19.5 over Miami. I love that spread. I'm going to buy those points right there. Buy a point to get it down a little bit, but I'm taking Miami minus 19.5 over Miami. UGA, I like them on the money line. They're probably about plus 125, plus 130, something like that. I like UGA plus 3.5 over Clemson. So that means that UGA can lose by a field goal, and I still cover the spread, guys. Just so everyone knows how we do things, we do it against the spread here. So basically, Bama 19.5, they have to win by 20 for me to win the bet. UGA plus 3.5, they can lose by a field goal. All right, it's not rocket science. If you have any questions about the spread, be sure to hit me up about it. I will put these picks out today as well. All right, guys. So, UNC minus 5.5 over Virginia Tech. Now, this game is scary. UNC does go into Blacksburg, but I just like Sam Howell. I just told you guys he's my number one quarterback in the country. I think he's going to be a top 10 pick in the NFL draft. I just said he's Baker Mayfield 2.0. I'm rolling with him, okay? So minus 5.5. I think UNC finds a way to win 37-27, something like that, and they're able to get it done over Virginia Tech in the opener on the road. Ohio State minus 14 over Minnesota. Yes, Minnesota was a good story 2 years ago. They've lost some talent. They do not have Bateman at wide receiver anymore. They've lost a little bit of talent, but I think Ohio State just has so much talent. It's not really about what Minnesota is. It's more about Ohio State for me in this matchup. I'm taking Ohio State. Look for Ohio State to win 42-27, something like that, and barely cover. But hey, a win's a win. 15 points right there would be a win. 42-24, something like that. Penn State. I'm taking Penn State with the points plus 5.5 over Wisconsin. They can still lose by 5 points, guys. That's why I'm taking Penn State. I think Penn State could win the game, but I'm taking Wisconsin 31-30 over Penn State, but I'll take them in the game. So that's 5 guys right there. BYU minus 12.5 over Arizona. This is more about Arizona being terrible last year. I watched them play. They are not a good football program. BYU, of course, had the tremendous season last year where Zach Wilson gained a lot of confidence for this offensive line and these playmakers they have on that offense. Their defense was good. I'm taking BYU minus 12.5 over Arizona. It's going to be a bloodbath. Look at 42-21, something like that. All right, guys, so this is a scary spread right here, but I am taking LSU just based off talent alone on their roster. I've already mentioned hella players from LSU. Derek Stingley is the main guy for me on that defense. LSU, Max Johnson, I think he goes out there and has a big game versus UCLA defense. UCLA offense is better, but can they go out there and do it against LSU's defense? We'll see. I like LSU in a close one. Very, very close. 27-21 LSU. Louisiana plus 8 over Texas. I would not be shocked if Louisiana kept it close throughout the whole game. Texas and Sarkisian, can he go out there and get a win in his very first game? 28-27 Texas, but I'll take Louisiana plus 8, guys. La Tech plus 23.5 over Mississippi State. That was just too many points for me. Mississippi State, it's not like they set the world on fire. Mike Leach, yeah, they're going to score some points, but they're also going to give up some points. So, long as La Tech goes out there and scores 3 touchdowns, gets 17 to 20 points, I feel confident about them covering the 23.5. They can lose by 3 touchdowns and still win. So, I'm taking Louisiana Tech on that. And then my last pick, guys, and this last pick goes out to a man who coached at FSU, and my thoughts and prayers are still with his family. Bobby Bowden did pass away, guys, a few weeks ago from complications. The guy, I had an opportunity to meet Bobby Bowden, and, I just really respect what he was able to bring to the game of football, what he was able to bring to the FSU program, a man of great faith, a man of great, just morals. He did things the right way. He's respected very highly. Bobby Bowden, FSU. I really hope they go out there against Notre Dame and put up a good fight. I'm not sure if they're going to be able to win this game against a top 15 Notre Dame team, but at the end of the day, I think FSU goes out there, they're fired up, they go out there for Coach Bowden, and they keep it close against a good Notre Dame team. I like FSU to cover the plus 7.5. At the end of the day, yeah, they could go out there and get blown out, but at the end of the day, I think that some things just are greater than I can't explain it, and Bobby Bowden's gonna have these. Something's gonna happen, and you're gonna look up, and Bobby Bowden's gonna be smiling down, and something's gonna happen in this game. It's gonna make you think that. I'm telling you, I know it will happen. Bobby Bowden, rest in peace. Great coach, great man. I'm rolling with the FSU Seminoles. Let's just try to see some improvement from last year. It's been some down times, but I think they are heading in the right direction. So those are my 10 picks, guys. If you missed it, I'll go over it real quick with you. Bama minus 19.5 over Miami, UGA plus 3.5 over Clemson, UNC minus 5.5 over Virginia Tech, Ohio State minus 14 over Minnesota, Penn State plus 5.5 over Wisconsin, BYU minus 12.5 over Arizona, LSU minus 3 over UCLA, Louisiana plus 8 over Texas, La Tech plus 23.5 over Mississippi State, and to round it out, FSU plus 7.5 over Notre Dame. Guys, I hope you liked my playoff special, guys. I really enjoy doing the college football kickoff every year, and this one was no different. So, thank you again for tuning into my show, Kicking It with Crowder, guys. This was episode 97, powered by Greer Home Solutions, guys. Thank you so much. I really appreciate all the love and support. Get your Kicking It with Crowder t-shirts today. Remember, check me out on Apple, Spotify, the iHeartRadio app. Anywhere you get your podcasts, you can find me, man. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate you. Until next time, we will download this thing. We will get this thing out there. We'll get it out. We'll share it. Be sure to get this video out there as well, guys. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I am Tyler Crowder, the host of Kicking It with Crowder. Till next time, let's go.